Hello student, how are you? Hope you are all well. Today I am going to discuss some important questions of the unit reproduction which are very much important for your upcoming final exam. So in the reproduction unit, from this unit total 40 marks will come, and under the reproduction unit there comes under four chapter: reproduction in organisms, sexual reproduction in flowering plant, human reproduction and reproductive health. And out of these four chapters, maximum question will come from human reproduction and sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So today I am going to discuss the important questions which are very important from this chapter, means human reproduction. So first come from some 1 mark question. For 1 mark, first question, write the pathway of transport of sperm. So the pathway is seminiferous tubules, means within testis, within the seminiferous tubules the sperms are formed, and from the seminiferous tubules it go through retitestis, then from fossa efferentia. Another name of vasa efferentia is efferent ductile. So if in your question paper this term is given, don't confuse. It means vasa efferentia. Then it come to the epididymis, vasa deferens, and finally it come to the ampulla, and which is the temporary storehouse of sperm. So from this point, another 1 mark question may also come. What is the temporary storehouse of sperm? Then you have to write ampulla. Second question, the process of release of ovum from a mature follicle is called ovulation. The shared terminal duct of the reproductive and the urinary system in human male is called urethra. Another name of urethra is urinogenital duct. Why it is called? Another question may come. Why urethra is known as urinogenital duct? Since through urethra both urine and sperm transport one by one. That's why it is known as urinogenital duct. Next question, cessation of menstrual cycle in female is called menopause, and this came in 2014. Progesterone is secreted by which? Answer is corpus luteum. The structure which provides a connection between the developing fetus and the uterus of mother is called placenta. Acrosome of sperm is formed from which types of cell? You have to write. Answer is Golgi bodies. Anterior part of the sperm is called what? Answer is acrosome. Germinal epithelium of gonad is called what is? Cuboidal epithelium. Then next question, for 1 mark question, the main function of intestinal cell means leading cells of seminiferous tubules. What is the function of means leading cell? Answer is synthesize and secrete the androgen. Next, which cells present in mammalian testis help in the nourishment of the sperm? Answer is Sertoli cell. Zygote divide it to form what? Who is implemented in the uterus? So embryo means after the formation of zygote, it undergo division and converted into embryo, then is implemented in the uterus. Gestation period of human female is how many months? 9 months, and as a day it is 270 days. Next, the secretory phase of menstrual cycle is called luteal phase. Another name is luteal phase. Each ovary is connected to pelvic wall and the uterus by what? Answer is ligament. Ovulation is induced by hormone is called LH, means luteinizing hormone. Name the layer of cell that forms the outer of the blastocyst. For 1 mark question, answer is trophoblast. Male sex accessory gland. How many male sex accessory gland? There are total three types. Out of these three types, two are in pair, seminal vesicle and Cowper's gland are in pair, means two are present, and in prostate gland it is only single. Next, ejaculatory duct means duct of ampulla and duct of seminal vesicle together form a common duct which is known as ejaculatory duct. Next, opening of uterine. The name of the opening of uterus is called urethral meatus. And if definition come, what do you mean by urethral meatus? Then you have to write, in male the urethra originate from the urinary bladder. From where urethra is originated? From urinary bladder, and extend through the penis to its external opening is known as urethral meatus. Under each question there are 2-3 questions. From each answer 2-3 questions may come. Next, origin of testis. From which type of cell? Means mesodermal cell. Means testis is formed from mesodermal cell. Layer of testis. How many covering are in testis? There are 3 layers. These are the 3 layers. Out of these 3 layers, the middle layer is known as tunica albuginea. And from tunica albuginea, the testicular lobules are formed. Within the testicular lobules, there are seminiferous tubules are formed, within which the sperms are produced. Then epididymis. Epididymis is a accessory duct. It has 3 parts. First, uppermost part is known as copad, middle part is known as corpus, and the lowermost part is known as caudal. How sorry, how the seminal plasma is formed and who is one right one function, and this type of question will carry 2 marks. Then it is the liquid part of the semen in human male and the sum of all male reproductive gland like seminal vesicle, prostate gland and Cowper's gland. So if 1 mark, it will be sufficient up to here. And what is its function? It is alkaline in nature, so it's buffer the acidity of vagina. It is fructose which act as a energy source for the sperm cells. It also activate the motility of the sperm cell. Define the spermiation. After the formation of sperm, by the process of spermiogenesis, sperm headed become embedded in the Sertoli cell. And from Sertoli cell, they get the new nourishment, and are released from the seminiferous tubules by the process is called spermiation. Means spermiation process is the process through which the newly formed sperms are released from the seminiferous tubules. The sperm contain, why sperm contain mitochondria? This question is repeated 2 times. So the middle piece of sperm contain numerous mitochondria which produce energy for the movement of the tail that facilitate the sperm motility essential for fertilization. Why human female has fixed number of primary follicle in ovary? Oogenesis is initiated during the embryonic development stage in the female. Means in the fetal stage, the oogenesis initiated where a couple of million of oogonia are formed in the fetal body and no more oogonia are formed after birth. So, female have a fixed number of follicle in the ovary. How the corpus luteum is formed? After the ovulation, the luteal phase start where the remaining part of the Graafian follicle transform as corpus luteum. What is the interstitial spaces? The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called the space that contains small blood vessel and leading cell. How many number of sex chromosomes are present in the sperm? The sperm contain haploid number, that is half number of chromosome present in the organism somatic cell. What are the cells found in the seminiferous tubule? Draw label diagram, and it is repeated in 3 years. So, 2 types of cells are the male germ cell that give rise to the sperm and the Sertoli cell which provide nutrition to the germ cell. And this is the structure of the seminiferous tubules. So in the seminiferous, these are called spermatogonia. These are Sertoli cells which provide nourishment. These are primary oocyte. Then these are secondary oocyte, and then these are called spermatid with tail. And finally, from spermatid, they are converted into spermatozoa. What is the menstrual cycle? Which hormone control the menstrual cycle? Menstrual cycle is the periodic process of ovulation in female primates that also involve the menstruation. It is a cyclic process and divided into 4 phases: follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase, and the menstrual phase. Menstruation occurs every 28 to 9 days in human female. Hormone regulates the menstrual cycles are follicular stimulating hormone. Short form is FSH, luteinizing hormone, LH, estrogen, and progesterone. Next, explain the menstruation cycle briefly. If this question come, it will carry definitely 5 marks. So here you have to explain each 4 part. So first one, the menstrual phase, it extends from first to fourth day of the cycle. It occurs in the absence of fertilization. During this phase, bleeding occurs as the endometrium of the uterus is shut off, and the menstrual flow consists of secretion of endometrial gland, cell debris, and unfertilized ovum. After fourth day, once again the FSH secretion from the pituitary is resumed and the new follicles start developing. Means when the egg become mature, then if no fertilization takes place, then it go out from the body with the help of some endometrial gland. And after fourth day, again FSH secretion start, and then new follicles start, means formation start. Next stage is follicular phase. In this phase, uterus enter into the proliferative phase. This takes place 5 to 13 days of the cycle. During this phase, new primary follicle in the ovary grow to become fully mature Graafian follicle due to the action of the FSH from the pituitary gland, and production of estrogen start. Only one follicle developed in one cycle. So 1 mark question may come. How many follicle? Only one follicle developed in one cycle. Next, ovulatory phase. During this phase, ovulation takes place. It usually occurs in 14 days and mesographene follicle rupture due to the LH secreted by the pituitary gland. Graphene follicle bursts and release the ovum. The ovum along with the follicular fluid is picked up by the fibri of the infundibulum of fallopian tube. The passage through fallopian tube where it happens to meet a sperm and it is fertilized. If not fertilized, the ovum degenerates. So from here, 1 mark question may also come. What is the name of the part of the follicle fallopian tube through which the sperm come to the fallopian tube? So then you have to write infundibulum is the part through which the ovum passes through the fallopian tube, and the finger-like structure is known as fibri. Fourth stage is luteal phase. This phase is also called progesterone or premenstrual or secretory or post-ovulatory phase. Means this phase is another four name also, so don't confuse and you have to remember all the name. It lasts for how many days? 12 to 14 days and extend from 16 to 28 days of the menstrual cycle. And what are the characteristics of this cycle? Corpus luteum means yellow body formed from the empty Graphian follicle increase in size, so called the luteal phase. Why it is called luteal phase? So for that 1 mark answer, this point is important. Corpus luteum secretes progesterone hormone whose level in blood gradually increase, and thus the following changes: decrease the secretion of FSH and LH from the anterior pituitary, so inhibit the maturation of the follicle and ovulation. Uterine endometrium further proliferated and ready for implantation and reduce the uterine movement. And if question come, what changes, ovarian changes takes place in menstrual cycle? Another question may come, means for that, and this question will carry 2 marks. Then you have to write this para. Ovarian changes in ovary, corpus luteum is formed from empty Graphian follicle and progesterone is secreted. Now, if ovarian is fertilized, corpus luteum retain LH and LDH from the pituitary, help in the maintenance of the corpus luteum. And if ovum is not fertilized, corpus luteum degenerate and forms the corpus albicans. And if question asks about uterine changes, then you have to write this para. Under the influence of the progesterone, there is increase in the thickness of endometrium. Endometrial gland grow and become secretory. Progesterone is responsible for the maintenance of the pregnancy. When fertilized ovum reach the uterus, it is implanted and placenta is formed. Till placenta become functional, corpus luteum keep on producing progesterone. But when progesterone source is cut off, endometrium slows off and menstruation begins. Next question, why unequal division of cytoplasm occurs during the formation of ovum? In the process of oogenesis, the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle grow in size and complete this first meiotic division. This division is unequal and result in the formation of a large haploid secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. The secondary oocyte retain bulk in the nutrient-rich cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. That's why unequal division takes place, because one tiny polar body has to be formed. That's why unequal division. How the implantation of the human embryo occurs in the mother uterus. After the formation of the blastocyst and the trophoblast, which is the outer layer of the blastula, get attached to the endometrium, and the inner cell must get differentiated as an embryo. After attachment to the uterine while divided repeatedly and cover the blastocyst, this become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, which is known as implantation. Then differentiation also come from this chapter, and it four important differences I am giving. For first one is spermatogenesis and oogenesis. For this answer, you have to go to my previous video. There I have given the differentiation. Next is parturition and lactation. Parturition means it is the process of delivery of the fetus. Lactation means it is the process in which mammary glands of the female undergo differentiation during the pregnancy and start producing milk towards the end of the pregnancy. This helps in the mother to feeding the newborn. Next differentiation, menarche and menopause. The first menstruation that begin in the puberty is known as menarche, and the process of stopping the menstrual cycle at a particular time is known as menopause. Menarche start at the age of 10 to 12 years, whereas menopause occurs at 50 to 55 age. Next differentiation is blastula and morula. Morula is a solid mass of cell formed by the fertilized ovum as a result of cleavage. And here there is increase in the number of cells but does not increase the size of the original mass. But blastula is a two-layered ball of cells formed by the dynamic rearrangement of the blastomere. Moreover, blastula has a cavity around which the cells are arranged. Means morula has no cavity whereas blastula has cavity. How placenta is formed. After implantation, a finger-like projection appears on the trophoblast called the chorionic villi, which are surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. This chorionic villi and the uterine tissue become the interdigested with each other and jointly form a structure and functional unit between the developing embryo and the maternal body called the placenta. This question is very important for this time. What are the stem cells? Where they are found? Those cells which have the potency to give rise to all the tissue and organ are known as stem cell, and these are found in the inner mass of the blastocyst. Draw a level diagram of molecular structure of the human fetus in uterus. So this is the simple structure. So this is the structure of the uterus. This is the structure of the fallopian tube, because within the fallopian tube the fertilization takes place and zygote is formed, and after that when it converted to embryo, it is implanted in the uterus. So in the uterus with the inner wall, this is attested. So this is the uterus, this is the fetus, and this is the placenta. So an umbilical cord. Umbilical cord means with the help of this cord from the placenta, this baby or fetus get the nourishment from the mother's body. And this is called amnion. And this is cervix and this is vagina. Express the diagrammatically various phases of spermatogenesis. So for this type of question will carry 3 marks. So these are the 3 phases: multiplication phase, growth phase, and maturation phase. In multiplication phase, this is the spermatogonia. It undergo mitotic division, and as a result, in growth phase, it form primary spermatocytes. It again undergo division and first undergo meiosis one and give rise to 2 secondary spermatocytes, and here the chromosome number become half. But here from spermatogonia to primary spermatocytes, the number of chromosome was same. But when it undergo meiosis 1, then the chromosome number become half. Then again they undergo meiosis 2 and comes under maturation phase, and from 2 cell finally 4 spermatid are formed. Then this undergo differentiation undergo, and after the differentiation they are converted into spermatozoa, and the last stage of this spermatogenesis process is known as spermiogenesis. Next, draw the TS of ovary and draw the oogenesis process. For these 2 diagrams, you have to go through my last videos, which are on human reproduction. There I am explaining about this diagram. So these 41 questions are very much important this time for your upcoming final exam. In my next video, I am going to upload another important question from another chapter. Till then, thank you and goodbye.